Well, this fourth Sunday of Easter is also known as Good Shepherd Sunday. And in churches across America and in Anglican churches around the world, you can often find gorgeous stained glass windows devoted to this theme of the Good Shepherd. Indeed, the parish where I began my ministry in El Paso, St. Clement's, the window above the altar was of the Good Shepherd holding a sheep in his arms. This is a very well-beloved biblical image, and it's one that tells us an awful lot about who Jesus is and what he came to do. It also challenges us in some ways. But this image of the Good Shepherd comes to us from the 10th chapter of the Gospel of St. John. And here we find Jesus trying to teach us about who the Good Shepherd is, and he contrasts that with the bad shepherd, the hireling, who cares really nothing for the sheep because he's a hireling. He's doing it for the money. Now, it starts off right away with something important. He says, I am the Good Shepherd. In fact, he says it twice in this reading this morning. And it should remind you of Moses facing the burning bush, where he's trying to figure out what's the name of this God who is confronting him in this burning bush. And God says, I am who I am. And God is the great I am. And here we're getting more. I am the Good Shepherd. And he says it again. I am the Good Shepherd a few verses later. And one of the characteristics of this Good Shepherd is that the sheep belong to him. We are not our own. We belong to him. And he works hard not to lose a single member of the flock. Of course, the hired hand could care less. The sheep belong to someone else, not to him. Why should he risk his life for somebody else's property? And we all know people who have this kind of attitude, this attitude of the hired hand. A paratrooper recently retired from the Army, and a friend of his was talking to him. And the friend asked him how many times had he jumped out of an airplane, and he said, none. And the friend said, well, what do you mean? I thought you were a paratrooper. I was. I never jumped. I was pushed many times, but I never jumped. And, you know, we see this kind of attitude all over the place. You know, sometimes in the church, we have people who have to be pushed to do the right thing. And I know in my life, you know, there are all sorts of things I don't enjoy doing. And I have to be pushed. Except it's not really strong enough. That's really not strong enough. The jump master, the guy who's standing next to the door, has been trained by the Army for a very specific task. If you freeze in the door, he's trained to kick you out. And they've all done it. And of course, I've been told you never know when somebody's going to freeze. You just don't. And so, you know, every once in a while, if I treat you too harshly, or you feel you have to push me too hard, remember that metaphor. You know, it's every once in a while, somebody locks up you, me, other people, and you know, it takes a little bit of more of a nudge. And that just seemed to be the way, you know, human beings are. Now, the hired hand is worse than that. I mean, he runs away at the sight of danger. Well, there are all sorts of really great paratroopers, all of whom have probably had to be kicked out the door. They don't run away. They don't run away. They are really well trained to go fight, and they do. And we have to even though we have to get kicked out the door once in a while, I have confidence that you're going to do the right thing. I do have that confidence. But what I want you to see this morning is that this image of the Good Shepherd it is very, very well developed, and it's carried throughout the Bible. In the Old Testament, God is characterized as the Good Shepherd. We read about that in Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. Then in Psalm 95, it says more. He is our God, and we are the people of his pasture and the sheep of his hand. But the image gets carried forward by the prophets. And Isaiah writes, he will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lamb in his arms and carry them in his bosom and gently lead those that are with young. Then when we move into the New Testament, this imagery is carried forward. And Jesus is described as the Good Shepherd. He is the one who is willing to risk his life even to save the one that is lost. Jesus is the one who has pity on the people because they are like sheep without a shepherd. And in the letter to the Hebrews, Jesus is called the great shepherd of the sheep. But the development of this kind of imagery doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there at all. In the first letter of St. Peter, the leaders of the churches are called to be the shepherds, and the people are the flock. The church has liked this image so well, we put it on all sorts of crosses. This comes out of a catalog, the Almond catalog. Some of you know that name. This is often given to the rectors of parishes at their installation or at their ordination to the priests. And you'll see Jesus as the Good Shepherd, and you'll even see some sheep on here. This is a very well-loved image in the church throughout the world.